Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One form, so this is a similar amendment, but it is a little bit different. One form of the Ten Commandments should not have a state backing, which would imply that only one form of the Ten Commandments takes precedence over the others. We should not deny the rights of the parents who belong to a different form of Christianity or maybe of the Jewish faith, which is why this amendment would require a public elementary school or secondary school to display the Catholic or Jewish versions of the Ten Commandments in the classroom if requested by a majority of the parents whose children were assigned to that classroom. So this places control in the hands of the parents. This amendment would ensure that families of Catholic or Jewish faiths would be represented in their child's classroom. The bill author seems focused on teaching pro-social aspects of the Ten Commandments and pushes historical roots on our country's creation, then we should honor all forms of the Ten Commandments. Members, please join me in
Mr. Wu, for what
voting
purpose?
to adopt this.
Would the gentleman yield for questions?
Gentleman yield for questions.
I yield.
He yields for questions.
Mr. Rosenthal, the differences in the different versions of the Ten Commandments, especially between Jewish and the old translations, are actually significantly different.
They are, especially in the first one. So and actually I want to answer that in detail because anybody making the claim that these are not religious should look at the first three of the Ten Commandments. And I don't know if any of you in the room can recite these from memory, but the very first commandment of the Ten Commandments is, I am the Lord your God who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And number 2 is, you shall have no gods of others in my presence. So if the first 2 commandments are talking about, I am the Lord your God, you'll have no other gods before me. And then the third one is, you shall not make for yourself a graven image. You will not worship false prophets. Those are from the original Torah, from the 5 books of Moses. This has changed significantly over time. And so if you want to respect and honor the faith traditions of the students in these classrooms, you should give the parents the opportunity to adopt the version that matches their religious background, their faith.
But it's more than just that, right? I mean, one of the most significant portions of it is thou shalt not kill. And from what I understand in the Jewish tradition, the proper translation from Hebrew should be thou shalt not murder.
That's correct.
And those 2 things are significantly different.
Yeah, anybody who thinks, so there are lawyers in the room, right? For you lawyers in the room, would you say there's a difference between thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not murder? You're correct.
And in essence, if what we're doing is we're trying to put into classrooms and teach children these values, and if there are different translations, there are different valuations of what is the right version, right? The different versions have different contexts and different conclusions. Would you not agree?
I would agree, and so it begs the question, who are we, legislators, to determine what is right or wrong for any family's faith tradition?
In a sense, what your amendment does is saying that the state of Texas, in putting up a Ten Commandments in the classroom, we're not going to make a content-based decision. We're not going to give a interpretation or a certain view or an ideology exclusive purchase in our school, saying that if we're going to do this, that the state should not pick which version, which interpretation is the correct one. Would that be fair?
That's exactly right.
So if this amendment did not go on, then the legislature is specifically saying that we are choosing one version of ideology over another. Would that be fair?
That is exactly right, and that is one of my principal objections to this entire effort.
So in a sense, your amendment is trying to save this bill from being struck down on a viewpoint basis, that the state is choosing which viewpoint in Christianity, in understanding the Ten Commandments, that you should take.
You can put it, I agree with you. That's a good way to put it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Wu.